Hello and welcome to episode 493 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mark. Now, joining me on today's episode is a returning guest to Mark and Me, and I think it's their third time. Today, I'm joined by the amazing film director, Neil Marshall. On today's episode, unlike the previous interviews we've done, it's dedicated just to one movie. We're not going to talk about his career and what inspired him. We're going to focus purely on one of the best British horrors of all time, The Descent. And the good news is, as you're listening to this, we're only a couple of weeks away from Studio Canal bringing out this as a 4K steelbook. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's the first time we get to see this in the UK on 4K, and my God, I adore this movie. It genuinely terrified me when I first saw it in the cinema all those years ago, and my God, this interview is great because it focuses purely on this film, behind the scenes. You'll hear stories about the making that you've never heard before, and I'm so proud of it. And that interview with Neil Marshall will be coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. But on every episode of Mark and Me, I always like to touch base and talk about my last episode, and I was joined by Kyle Soto from the awesome band Sea Haven. Thank you so much to the band and to Kyle for sharing the episode. To all the new listeners that came along, it's been an insane couple of weeks recently following Shinedown and now Sea Haven. The numbers have gone up massively on Instagram and Facebook, and I just want to say thanks to each and every one of you for taking the time to listen and to share the episodes. Right, today's episode is a personal favourite of mine. I love The Descent. If you haven't seen it, maybe go and watch it now and then come back to the podcast because it does get quite spoilery, but it's worth it. So, here's me and Neil Marshall.
Hi.
Hey Neil, how are you?
All right, how are you?
Good, it's been about 18 months, I think, since you've been last on. Maybe 2 years, I think.
Oh, thank you for having me back.
It's an absolute pleasure. I think you've been on 3 times now, so welcome back. The leading person is Neil Blomkamp. He's been on 4 times, and Alex Winter. So you're almost there. You're almost at the 4th spot.
All right, I better get busy then. Make some more stuff.
So what I want to do today, obviously, instead of going through your whole career history, which we've done previously, we want to focus on The Descent. Now it's getting this beautiful release.
Yes.
What I wanted to do is kind of hand the mic a bit more over to you, because obviously I can ask questions all day, but I think for the listeners out there that are huge fans of this absolute horror masterpiece, where did it all start? Because I don't think many people know where it happened for you and how it all came about.
Sort of various things kicked it off. One of them was that a review of Dog Soldiers, and I can't remember who wrote it, but one of the reviewers said, it's great that it's a British horror movie, but it's very tongue in cheek. And when is a British director going to make a serious horror movie again? A real scary horror movie again? And I kind of took that as a bit of the gauntlet had been thrown down there. I was like, okay, that's a serious horror movie now, because I kind of felt the same way about Dog Soldiers. Was that it's scary, but it's also very funny. I thought let's do something much darker. And in the vein of films that I loved, like Deliverance and stuff like that. The other thing that came about was off the back of Dog Soldiers, I got a meeting with a company called Celador Films that had literally just got set up. They were looking for new projects. And I went to meet Christian Coulson, who was the producer there. And he asked me what I had, and I sent him this script that I already had, which was my student graduation film being adapted into a feature, which is about zombies on an oil rig. And he read it, thoroughly enjoyed it, said, we can't make it, it's too expensive. Have you got anything else?
The oil rig part makes me think this is going to cost money.
Yeah, so have you got anything else? And I was like, let me have a think. And literally, I left that meeting, I went to King's Cross, I got on a train back to Newcastle, because that's where I was living at the time. And by the time I arrived in Newcastle, I'd come up with The Descent. And it was about ideas bubbling around in my head about the Beast of Bodmin Moor was in the headlines quite a lot. And I was thinking, well, I wonder if it has a lair. I wonder if it lives in a cave. And
this is good.
People going after the beast and finding it into the cave. And it was kind of then that evolved to be like, okay, so let's set the whole film in a cave, make it about a cave, and get rid of the beast and do something more, with humans that kind of evolved to live in caves and stuff like this. Would that be scary? Also because I'd just done dog soldiers, so I was like, I don't want to do wolves or dogs or things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and dealing with creature suits and stuff like that was a pain in the ass. So I was like, no, let's strip it way back. They're humans. They're going to look like Nosferatu meets Gollum meets, the Master from Salem's Lot, something very simple. And Iggy Pop as well. I wanted them to look like Iggy Pop with no hair. That
I've never
physicality,
thought of
that
it now, and now you said it, I'm like, oh shit, I've always thought Gollum, but Iggy Pop.
it's that skinny, muscular look.
Yeah.
He's skin and bones, but he's kind of got
He's got
muscle.
tones as well, yeah.
Yeah. So it was that kind of vibe. Anyway, and I started researching about caving, and the more caving and climbing, and the more I delved into that world of research, the more I was like, well, there's loads of women do this, as many as men, if not more. And they're strong and they're independent, they're feisty, they're really cool characters. What if we just I've just done a film with guys and testosterone and stuff like that. Why not make it about women and do it all a full female cast? They go caving, the caving goes wrong. And I guess, Deliverance was a big
Oh yeah.
inspiration for the idea of the holiday that goes horribly wrong thing, and also horror playing it straight. So all these ideas sort of fell into place, and it was like, okay, horror film set in a cave, which I couldn't think of any horror films that had been set in caves, considering it's a big, dark, scary environment. It's like perfect for a horror film. Um, Obviously, presents its own set of problems, filming in the dark, and how do you light it, all this kind of stuff. And all that went into the script was I discussed with I watched some documentaries and things like that, and I discussed with Sam, my DOP. I said, like, can we light this in such a way that like it's only what they take with them that lights it? Because I don't want beautiful shafts of light coming from some
Yeah.
nowhere in particular lighting the caves and making it look pretty. I want it to be dark. I want there to be like we're going to film it widescreen, but I want there to be moments where there's just a tiny little pool of light in the corner of the screen from a one torch or something, and the rest is pitch black, and play on that for the claustrophobia. And then when they turn the torch to face you, you can see what it is that you actually see things that you couldn't see before and reveal things, good and bad things and things like that. So playing around with that was really important, and also it meant I had to track light sources for each of the characters for every scene. There had to be something in the scene that they could light it with, even if it was a box of matches or a video camera or whatever. The easier ones were the ones who had flares or snap lights or
Yeah.
something. But sometimes there was like, oh, what do we light the scene with? And then the idea of color coding them came in. So like the snap lights were green, so I knew if we were with the green characters, and that was Rebecca and Sam. If it was flashlight, that was Juno. If it was a flare or fire, that was Sarah. So each character you could tell by the color scheme of like which character you're with. So when we were cutting between them, it would be easier to understand the story rather than just looking going from identical environment to identical environment. So all of this thought went into the script. None of that thought went into the script for the sequel, but
No.
that's by the by. But for this one, a lot of thought went into it in the writing process and working with the DP to write the script, which I've never done before or since. Um, so yes, it was a process. It was
I mean,
quite a process.
there's so much planning and thinking logically before you even get the cameras out and start even going
Oh
down
yeah.
those caves.
Well,
When it,
building the caves, another thing was like, how
yeah,
are we going to film this thing? Are we going to go to a real cave? Well, for several reasons, that was impractical. We needed specific caves according to the scripts. Finding those specific kind of caves, a chasm, a blood pool, or whatever it is, a giant chamber, like in one cave, all of those in one cave is like that's never going to happen, and we haven't got the budget to go around 15 caves, getting all the locations. So, also myself and the cast went caving as research. We went potholing in the Peak District,
oh wow,
and it was terrifying and amazing, and I absolutely loved it. But it also taught me very clearly that if we try and film this movie in a real cave, we're all going to die. It's so dangerous. Literally, like as a group, and we were only 6 people standing in this cave, your condensation forms a fog around you. It makes the rock slippery like ice. So it was
it's
just
a
like
death trap, isn't it?
it's a
Yeah.
death trap. Like trying to get film crew down there, no way. So we decided we were going to build it all. And then by again a piece of luck, there was this new technology came out that Simon Bowles, our production designer, found where we could this was spray foam stuff that set. and you could spray it on an actual cliff, whatever, and it would take a cast off the cliff, and you could use that as like a rock face or whatever. But it was super light, but super strong. If we'd done it prior to that, we would have to build the caves in the traditional manner of film sets of timber framework with plaster of Paris, like just plaster everywhere, which weighs an absolute ton. You can't move these things. And if you chip them, it reveals the white plaster underneath. So we would have been like every single take going through painting over the little chips all the time. It's like, what a pain in the ass. Thankfully, Simon discovered this spray-on stuff, which you could build a basic frame and spray this stuff on and make rock patterns with it, different colors. It comes in a color that looks like granite anyway. So if you chip it, it just
Perfect.
looks like stone. So all this stuff, and you can walk on it. It's strong. It's self-supporting. So we built like I think there was 15 sets in total, and that ranged from the biggest set, which we used about 3 or 4 times throughout, and various smaller sets, right down to the tiny little tunnel and things like that, which got and one set which we used, well, I think we used about 20 times in the film, but you can't tell. So,
Wow.
and these sets were very, very basic. It was just a little, tube of this or tunnel or whatever it is. But yeah, very basic things. And dress in some boulders, spray them a different color. We had these our props guys with spritzers constantly on ladders over the top of the set, putting this mist in the air constantly, so everything was damp all the time inside the caves. There was condensation running down the sides of the caves, water running through the bottom of it. This was in January in Pinewood, and it was up all the water that was getting sprayed on these actresses was absolutely freezing. So they were
Jesus.
suffering. After every take, we had to get them off, sit them in front of heaters, cover them in thermal blankets and stuff like that because they were shivering all the time. Poor old
Like, Neil, we
Nora,
don't want to work with you again. Yeah.
Nora Jane Noon had it worse because she had to lie in a river for like a day when she had a broken leg thing. But yeah, it was stuff like that. So many challenges.
Did you, whilst you're on set, at any point think, and then with absolute full respect, I mean, Dog Soldiers is a masterpiece as well, but were you thinking, I've bitten off more than I can chew, in just the fact that the conditions to work in, to put these actresses through these horrendous conditions, to get everything still looking authentic in a studio, when really, in the ideal world, to film in a cave would have been brilliant, but probably you would have had lawsuits and killed half your cast.
Not really, no. I mean, I think because I was well prepared for it. I'd done my
Yeah.
homework. We had such a great crew and cast. I mean, I think because they weren't stars, they were so up for everything. They were just like, let's muck in and do this thing because for all of them, I think it was like their first major feature
Yeah.
role. So it was a big deal for them. So they gave it 200%. The crew were just awesome, just amazingly talented people who bought into the idea, who came along and like gave it their 200% as well. And so we've had such a great atmosphere on set. It never felt like we were going to work. It was tough getting through the days and keeping to the schedule and the budget and such like, but we're having such a great time making it. And then the work on screen was clearly translating into something interesting because John Harris, who edited it, was working at Pinewood at the same time, piecing together the film while we were shooting it. So we could, like, at lunch breaks, I'd go in, sit with him, and
Show me what you've done. Yeah.
show him what you've done today. And he was testing out the scares on the accounts department. So like, if you wanted to see if a jump scare worked, you got all the accounts department in and sat them down and like ran them to see if they'd all jump or not,
And it's
which they did.
working. Yeah.
Yeah, which they
It's
did.
one of the best lit films I think I've ever seen. I really truly mean that. Like you said all about the forward planning and making sure that you had the right object or the right tool to light that scene. But it's one of the most beautiful films to watch for the lighting alone. I will sit there for hours, and now I know it's coming out in high definition and I can enjoy it
and
and see it even,
and it looks stunning as well. Yeah, I mean, I was always like, unfortunately, it's the nature of the British film industry that they turn their nose up at horror stuff. I mean, every so often something breaks through, or Danny Boyle does a horror film, and it's just serious business. But for the rest of us making horror films, they turn their nose up at that kind of stuff, and so Descent didn't get a look in at like with the BAFTAs or anything because honestly
no.
think like Simon should have got a BAFTA and Sam should have got a BAFTA for cinematography because it is
Yeah.
It is a beautiful film.
It looks stunning. Like you could print out any moment, any frame, and it'd make a good poster. Some of
Yeah.
the scenes alone, it blows my mind. I sit there and think, this is how to light a film. And considering you're up against the biggest challenge ever, you're not just like on a nice high street in Western Boulevard, you're making it look like the dingiest, scariest, worst experience, claustrophobic,
Yeah.
dingy, awful. But it
And
still looks
the lighting
beautiful,
and
you know?
the lighting in some cases was so simple. It was um we'd have bounce cards, we'd have just like little white cards that we could hide off camera. And if the actors came up close and shone their torch toward it, it bounced the light back onto their faces so you could see their faces and things like that.
Wow.
It's such simple stuff. And but it was effective, it just looked great.
And
I
with the
love practical
creature,
lighting.
yeah, unbelievable. So it should always be practical. But with the creature design, was that a kind of test and see how it goes? I mean, like you said, you were influenced and you saw the golem and you saw this, but it still doesn't look like anything else. And the first time you see it on screen and then it's in the water and right up close in the face of the girls in the caves, it
Yeah.
genuinely shits me up. Like I'm not even it's like Jaws when you see the guy under the boat. Even though I've seen it 50 times, it still gets me every single time. And I wondered, were you really surprised of just how effective it looked with not overcomplicating it? Less is more, isn't it? It's just this horrible, grim, disgusting monster, really.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was to do with Paul Hyatt's incredible makeup effects.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not a lot to it. There was like contact lenses, some prosthetics on the face, a little bit on the spine, but that was kind of it as far as prosthetics were concerned. But then it was layered up with body paint. They were
yeah,
pale. They was like spraying with airbrush, putting all these veins and stuff like that on them. And then the last thing was to slap a load of like I don't know if it was KY, but it was definitely some kind of like
yeah,
slimy jelly stuff all over them all the time, so they would glisten in the light. And that was kind of it. And it was casting people like Craig Conway that physical people have done physical theater and utilizing their movements and skills. And again, we rehearsed with them to develop a movement for the crawlers and attack patterns and all kinds of stuff of how they would attack things. Um, and it paid off. And I filmed them in a certain kind of way as well. Uh, I wanted to achieve the effect that spiders have, where they can be like dead still, and they go from still to 100 miles an hour, like
yeah.
they
Literally in an
they
instant.
don't speed up, they just go, they scuttle. And so I was like, well, how can we do that? So Sam said, well, why don't we try this? Every time a crawler's on screen, we filmed it at 18 frames a second instead of 24, so they're ever so slightly sped up and with a 90-degree shutter thing, which is, what Spielberg did with Private Ryan, where it keeps things sharp and in focus even when they're moving. And
Yeah.
that helps with that whole slightly staccato look. It keeps things, yeah. So little tricks like that was just, making the crawlers more effective.
And without spoiling it too much, because there might be some people that listen to this podcast before they buy the Blu-ray and the 4K and the nice steelbook. And whose idea was it? Was it the studio to get involved and do an alternative ending? Was that something for the US market that
It was,
then,
yeah, it was purely the US
yeah,
distributor, Lionsgate.
yeah,
They picked up the film. So when we were making it in January, we heard that there was another rival cave movie coming out called The Cave.
yeah.
And that had like 10 times our budget, stuff like that. So we were like, oh no, that's not good. Someone's going to steal our thunder. So we rushed the film through. Like we filmed it in January. We had it in cinemas in the UK in July
That's
because it was
wild, isn't
like
it? That's wild.
absolutely nuts.
Fucking hell, I
And
didn't realize it was that quick.
yeah, filming January, February, post-production, music, everything else done and in cinemas via Pathé, uh, 2 months before The Cave was going to come out.
Fucking
And
hell.
and also like it was released, around the world at that time as well. And then the Americans said, no, we're not going to rush it out. We're gonna wait until after The Caves come out. So The Caves come out in August. We're going to wait until the following January, and we'll launch it at Sundance and do all that. So we were like, great, fantastic. So, but they also started test screening the film, and the test screening results were that with the original ending on, it came back in the mid 80s, the scores, which is really good.
Yeah.
And most films would be proud of that. But they cut 30 seconds off the end of the film, so it kind of basically Sarah gets out of the cave.
Yeah.
And they did it again. They went into the 90s, and they were like, "This is some of the highest scores we've ever had for a horror film." But the choice is yours. So this is what we're proposing. If you want to keep the original ending, we'll do that, but we'll only put it in 1,000 screens. If you let us cut those 30 seconds off, then we'll release it in 3,000 screens. And that's a big
Wow.
deal.
Yeah.
So I discussed it with the producer. I said, look, to be honest, it's it's been out in the UK, it's been out in the rest of the world. In fact, it's on DVD in the UK at that point if people want to order it off Amazon before the US release. I'd never been to the US at that point. I never watched a movie in the cinema with the US. I couldn't have cared less what the US audiences were going to not I couldn't care less about that. No, I didn't understand them because I'd never shared a movie with them. So it was like it
That's
was not my
understandable.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched movies in the UK. I understand the UK audience. Um, so I was like, I'm never going to see it with this ending with a US audience. So let's just go with the deal. Take the 3,000 screens. And producer absolutely agreed, and we were like, right, then that's that. So that's how that ending came about. Um, I don't even know if you can get that ending now because in the US they released it on DVD and Blu-ray as the unrated cut
Yeah.
with the original ending on. So I don't know if you can even get the cut version now.
That's good. Just let it be.
But yeah, my whole thing was the theory being was that it was a happy ending because she got out of the cave.
Mm.
My whole argument is no, it's not. She in the cave, she's out of her mind. Yes, she's probably gonna die. Yes, but she's with her daughter. Like in here, she's in her head,
Yeah.
she's with her daughter, and that's the only happiness she's gonna get. Um, and having her get out of the cave meant to me it was like, well, all her family's dead, all her friends are dead. She's probably going to be like accused of killing her friends or something like that. She's probably got their blood all over her hands and amongst all the other stuff that she's got on her.
It's not really
Um,
much of a great life to come out for, is
she's
it?
no, she's going to be traumatized, probably in therapy, if not locked up in prison, whatever, for the rest of her life. That's not a happy ending.
No,
So,
far
yeah,
from it.
but hey,
Are you excited right now? The fact that we're sitting here and we're seeing new up and coming filmmakers with the stuff like Obsession,
hmm
The Backrooms. I know it's only been recently in the last couple of weeks, but it just seems that filmmaking is just open to the whole world. You could get yourself a laptop, you can get yourself a decent camera, and the possibilities are endless. I watched Obsession and I couldn't believe it was made for less than £1 million.
yeah. I
And
haven't seen it yet, but I'm really keen to see it.
you're gonna
And
love it. You are gonna
Backrooms,
love it, yeah.
these things are coming out. The Backrooms a little bit different because that was like 10 million or something
Yeah,
like
of
that.
course.
But
But
keen to see both of those. It's great that these horror is currently saving cinema. I mean,
yeah,
it's doing the work that these bigger things like Mandalorian and Grogu aren't doing, and getting bums on seats, which is and it should be given its due respect for that. But I think it's great. I think at the end of the day, because you can make a film a lot easier now, then yeah, you got to wade through a lot more shit,
yeah,
to be honest.
that's fair.
Like for every obsession, there's probably like 20 films that ain't quite so good. So there's a wealth of not particularly great movies out there. But word of mouth is still by far the best marketing tool. And when you hear great word of mouth on a film like that, it's like, great, I want to check it out. But it makes me want to make a horror movie.
I was
So it does.
My next question was like, you must be getting that itch again now.
Oh yeah, no, I always have the itch. It's finding the idea.
Yeah,
It's finding that thing that's gonna, click. And descents don't come along every day. So yeah, trying to find some hook that's gonna be the thing. But I'm always up for it. I love making horror movies, and I love the audience and the fans and the crowd. The scene for the festival circuit and all that with the horror crowd. It's great.
because there's always every time I read about you, there's always people talking about a sequel or a prequel to Dog Soldiers,
Uh-huh.
which is always the rumor I see, and that's obviously been put to bed. Surely that's never going to be a thing now.
I honestly don't know. It's been dragging. The possibility was dragging on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So, and I put it to bed. I'd like announced on Instagram like a year and a half ago saying, "Sorry guys, it's just not going to happen." Um, and it's, and I
But
just
even
don't
that's
know.
not enough for the listeners or the fans. They're like, but he might be bluffing. I'm like, look, he's just come out
No,
and
well,
said,
because yeah, and but the problem is it's not up to me. That's the problem.
no,
I don't own the rights, so if it was up to me, I would have made it years ago. But it's
yeah.
not. So it's getting hold of the rights to do it, and that's a tricky process. But we'll see. Anything's possible.
Anything else with the Descent ever? Obviously, I know you weren't a fan of the sequel.
No, I kind of like if I could erase that from the canon. There's a few Descent possibilities out there. I have an idea that what I would do if I was going to do a Descent sequel, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Is there pen and paper about anything to announce anytime soon? Are
No.
you involved in just taking time out, having a think, waiting
Oh
for that
no, no,
idea?
no. I mean, I'm working. I'm busy on all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I have several projects that are on the starting line, just trying to get cast attached at the moment. A thriller called Dead Stop, and a World War II alien invasion film called
Oh, wow.
Invaders. So just trying to
That
cast that.
just sounds like budget to me. That sounds like huge
It's
budget.
not, well, yeah, when I pitch it, like I think people think, oh, it's going to be Saving Private Ryan meets Independence Day. It's not. It's
Yeah.
more,
Spielberg style, yeah.
yeah, it's more like sort of the eagle has landed
Yeah,
with aliens instead of, Germans sort of thing.
I'm all for that.
But yeah, it's all set in a small Cornish fishing village.
Oh, this sounds good.
But it's gnarly. It's good aliens and good death.
See, and that's original. We haven't got anything like that right now.
Yeah. So
And you've been able to see the 4K transfer for the new. Obviously, we can promote this now. It's coming out very soon. I've seen the
yes.
beautiful artwork for the Steelbook. It's stunning. And we finally got the treatment because I wasn't sure if Second Sight were going to do it or Arrow, and then we saw this announcement come out, and I was really
Yeah.
pleased that we're finally getting this 4K transfer.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I know Second Sight wanted to do it after doing the Dog Soldiers one, but Pathé decided to do it themselves. So, and then Lionsgate did it in the States.
Yeah,
Lionsgate got it out first in the States, but yeah, but it's um, yeah, what they've done, what Pathé have done in going, they went back to the negative and they cleaned all that up and they went back to
beautiful.
the visual effects and it's sublime. It's absolutely sublime.
You must
Seeing
be
it
so
that way.
happy when you get these films like Dog Soldiers by Second Sight that like do the best version they can of your film, and then it's kind of it feels like it's been catalogued. It's like it's finalized, it's finished. It can go on the shelf now as the best version that we can make of it. And I feel like
Yes.
it's put to bed. Then when I saw the Jaws remastered Blu-ray 4K, and I was like, how have they cleaned it up this much? But now it feels like the definitive version. I'm like, there you
Well,
go.
absolutely, it's the definitive version. I mean, weirdly, it kind of looks better now than it did when it first came out because it's gone straight from the neg to the final version, not
Yeah,
through print or so there's no scratches or anything like that on it. So it looks incredible. But with smaller independent movies like this, it's scary, especially ones that were shot on film. Of the negatives or things like that could get lost forever. And we thought we'd lost the negative for Dog Soldiers. It was disappeared. It disappeared for like 3 years,
fucking
and
hell.
finally we found it and managed to do the 4K of that. At least now, Descent, Dog Soldiers, the 4Ks are done. Doomsday 2, not Centurion yet, but they're preserved for
Yeah.
time now. As they're not in some dangerous format that could disappear. But I do worry that, without studios, they have their own archives. But independent films, things like that, they could be like lost forever.
You hear
Until the
about it,
next.
don't you? You hear, I think Dead Man's Shoes was one of them that they're just struggling to find everything and stuff
Yeah,
like that. And you think, we need it now, otherwise we're never going to get it again.
yeah. So the more movies that get remastered on 4K, the better.
Perfect.
Especially obscure stuff. Yeah.
The last question I got, last time you came on, I asked you to pick the outro music. So you always get to choose the piece of music that's played at the very end of the podcast.
Yes.
And you chose Burn by The Cure because we talked about the Crow soundtrack. And it was a fucking great choice. And I wondered if there was a song that meant a lot to you that you'd like to follow up today's episode with that you'd love to be played at the end of today's interview.
I would choose Into the Light by Susie and the Banshees.
Oh,
from Juju. And the reason I choose that was because I originally wanted that to play on the end credits of Descent
Mm.
and tried it. And we couldn't get the rights or something, but also David Julian's score was so amazing. It was like, no, it needs something, and well, let's carry on with that and keep it that way. But yeah, but so that was always in my head. And I think when I was writing it as well, I was listening to Juju by Susie and the Banshees.
Well, that all ties up nicely. It's a nice 360 moment. But thank you for coming back on the podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I'm
Oh, you're
loving what
welcome.
we've talked about, and it's so nice just to talk about such a classic because all my friends are huge collectors of steelbooks. They all love the artwork. They love all these special editions.
Yeah.
And when they announced it finally, and it was like, "Is this definitely happening?" All of them were on the group chat, like, "Have you seen the news?" And it's not far now to wait.
Well,
So
I'm looking forward to having it in my collection. I haven't got one
yeah,
yet.
what? You've not got your version yet? Jesus.
Well, I haven't got one yet.
But our paths will cross again, I'm sure, very soon. But thank you for your time and good luck with everything.
Oh, been a pleasure.
Look after yourself, Neil.
You too.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and the amazing film director, Neil Marshall. And it was a pleasure to have him back on Mark and Me. And as I said at the start of today's interview, we're going to get the 4K release of this classic. And I say that with absolute confidence. It's going to be incredible. It's got loads of extras. It's got the 4K transfer, which sounds beautiful. And it's available on June the 29th. So go and treat yourself. It's never looked better. And it's an absolute masterpiece. Thanks, Neil, for coming back on Mark and Me. It really means a lot. And I'm going to do something new this time. We filmed the interview and I'm going to stick it on TikTok and I'm going to stick it on Instagram for you guys as well. So if you want to watch the interview, it's something I'm going to try with a few new episodes now and see what people think. But the whole interview will be available to watch on those platforms. Also, guys, please share the episodes. As always, because the numbers are growing, I really appreciate all the shares and it does work. So if you're listening to this, why not jump onto Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok and hit that share button? Or go on my Patreon account and sign up on there for exclusive episodes, badges, and stickers. And remember, all the money that comes in 2026 for Mark and Me is going straight to charity. So it really is the best time to sign up. And let's give a shout out to the two sponsors of Mark and Me. If you love horror, my God, Vice Press. They have the best collection of collectibles and prints and posters and VHSs, all available on vicepress.com. And the good news is, if you use the discount code MarkandMe26, you're going to get yourself 10% off. It's a no-brainer. And finally, Richer Sounds. If you love home cinema, if you love Blu-ray players, 4K players, especially if you're going to buy The Descent, head over to richersounds.com or visit any of their high street stores. They won't be beaten on price. They have the best knowledge and expertise. And trust me, they're just great, great people. Right, guys, I'm about to head off to Download Festival, so expect some more episodes in the next coming days. And in the meantime, go and watch The Descent, look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.